On behalf of Rhinegold Education, I am delighted to introduce today one of the UK's leaders in music education, Mr. David Ashworth. David, welcome.
Thank you.
Could you start by telling us why you think we need new ideas for Key Stage 3 music at this particular time?
Yes, I think probably two reasons. One is it's a long time since we've actually had any sort of new guidance or resources, publications indeed, specifically aimed at the Key Stage 3 teacher. And the other thing is that things have changed, things have moved on in music and education, I think in particular technology, where I think they would appreciate some help and guidance coming in. But it's no longer the case that they want a whole fleshed out scheme of work, a sort of prescriptive thing. We produced those in the past, and teachers have always said what they prefer is lots of little ideas, bite-sized ideas they can run with, they can tweak, they can make their own, and then integrate as and when they need to within their existing schemes of work, rather than something that's all sort of set out for them. The areas we need to be helping them with, the areas they're asking for help with, obviously a lot to do with technology. There have been some major changes in technology over the past few years. I'm thinking particularly of mobile technologies and the impact they can have in the classroom. A lot more focus and pressure on assessment these days, especially with the guidance coming from Ofsted and then the pressures that secondary teachers feel under from demands from senior leadership, etc. Singing, of course, has always been a big one. And now that we're getting a lot more confident singers coming up from Key Stage 2 as a result of the Sing Up programme, there is more onus on the secondary teachers to sort of cope with this and run with this and build and develop on those ideas. Linked with singing, there's songwriting as well. We're doing a lot more with rock and pop music in the classroom these days, and composition is something teachers have always needed help with, but songwriting in particularly is something where I've found people who can provide guidance. And then finally, and this is one we've overlooked for too long, SEN. SEN, I'm thinking of SEN in the mainstream particularly, where it's always been the case we've had students across the SEN spectrum in classrooms, and we need to make those classrooms more inclusive so that they feel they have a real musical part and opportunity in those classrooms and aren't sidelined or compromised in the way we've done so often in the past.
Okay. How did you go about finding out what exactly it was that teachers wanted and needed?
Through the Teaching Music website, I'm in a very privileged position because I manage that space, so I get to see everything that goes on. I get to see which teachers are posting there, what their concerns are, and where their strengths and areas of interest lie. And so it gives me a good overview of just what's happening in secondary music education and who the prime movers are. So through that space, I was able to identify those areas of need, which we've already talked about. And I was able to find, headhunt if you like, teachers whose strengths I could tap into to help produce this resource of ours.
It sounds as if you've been incredibly busy. What can we expect to see at your session at the Expo?
This is the tough one. There's just so much in this resource. It's difficult to know what to put in and what to leave out. Up until the actual day, I'm not quite sure what we'll show in there, but to give you a flavour of the kind of things I'm thinking of highlighting, it's using generic ICT to support classroom learning. So things like Evernote, which I know John Kelleher has used a lot, is a marvellous online social networking tool for gathering, collating and tagging information. A great boon to the classroom teacher. Harndon has used Twitter a lot to support her classroom teaching. And she's done a lot with mobile apps as well, mobile technologies. I've taken quite a few leads from the National Plan for Music Education, also the Ofsted report. And one of the things that came out of the National Plan was to do with music technology and how we should be using it to bring new sounds into the classrooms. One of the problems we have, particularly in the more under-resourced schools, is that they don't have access to a lot of different instrumental sounds because instruments are not cheap. But using technology, we can bring much larger range of sounds in. So I focus particularly on that, and that's something I want to share at the Expo as well. I'm very keen that when we're talking about technology, we're not just talking about computer-based applications, but talking about hardware as well. So I'm very excited about the Roland Loop Station, and I shall certainly want to be sort of showcasing that, probably a live demonstration of that if we can manage it as well. There's a lot in the resource on practical work and teaching music musically, but I also want to put something on standing back from the music and doing a bit of critical thinking and reflection, the sort of stuff that people like John Finney and Robert Bunting have been writing about, and that is an important component in our resource. I'd like to refer to that as well. So lots going on there to get into a very small space of time.
Okay, is it all about the resources?
No, it's not. I think teachers, of course, they want resources, but they also want help and guidance with managing classroom spaces, because it's a challenging space as a classroom, particularly if you're trying to make it an inclusive space and you're trying to do a lot of practical music making where you don't have much space and you don't have a lot of resources. Fortunately, this team of teachers that we've got working on this resource are highly experienced, and there's lots of guidance they can give on things to do with classroom management, on how to prepare for Ofsted, on tips and tricks for using assessment and reporting, doing it in time-efficient, effective ways.
Where can teachers find out more, and what about those teachers who unfortunately won't be able to make it to the sessions?
I'm hoping there will be a lot on the Expo site itself, and I'm sure Rhinegold, as they're moving more and more into the digital arena, will be presenting snippets or extracts or previews or highlights of this resource as it becomes available in their online space as well. And of course, we'll be using Teaching Music to promote it as widely as we can. And of course, all the teachers who are involved in producing this resource do have a good, strong internet presence. So the idea is that teachers should be able to contact them directly through Twitter or through Teaching Music website or wherever, so that there's a feeling of an ongoing supportive community out there. It's not just a standalone fixed resource.
Sure. David, thank you very much for your time today. I very much look forward to seeing you at the Music Education Expo in March. Rhinegold Education will be on stand E3, so please do come along to our stand and come and see our resources. And remember, if you would like to register for your free ticket to the Expo, please go to www.musiceducationexpo.co.uk, and Music Education Expo is all one word. Thank you again.